Alrighty friends, single mom of 9 life update. Something that I've been considering, and I think I'm gonna actually fumble my way through and go for it. So as you know by the title of this video, I have been questioning and wondering if at almost 46 years old, mom of 9, successful online entrepreneur woman, should I also go back to college? And through my experience and the experience that I have walked with other women through, and that I've heard the stories of other women, a lot of women stay home full time and care for the children. Not all. When a woman, see, this is where women are vulnerable, has poured her life into caring for her home and raising her children for decades. That's a beautiful thing. That's what many of us have chosen to do. Here's where a problem can come in. If a woman has poured decades of her life into home and family, and then things blow up, and the woman suddenly has to make other career choices, and then we as women end up with even less choices. I can of course speak for a long time about how women and children are vulnerable in hard situations. And many times there's situations where we don't have a lot of choices. And so not trying to speak to every woman's individual situation, but back to, I've seen some things, I know some things, and I know me as a woman, I'm vulnerable, even though I have a successful online business. And yes, decades ago, I got a 2-year degree in information technology. And then a few years after that, with a 3-year-old and an 8-week-old, I started an evening LPN program, stands for Licensed Practical Nurse, which allowed me to be a charge nurse, which means within the state of Virginia, I was a licensed nurse. I was not a registered nurse. I was still able to be a charge nurse in long-term care and skilled rehab situations. And I was also a psychiatric nurse for a season. And I did all of that with 2 young children so I could be home full time with my children during the week. I had the vision already with that 3-year-old and 8-week-old that I was gonna homeschool them, and I wanted a good weekend job where I could get most of my full-time hours in within a few days. So that was early 20s Jamerrill. Fast forward to, as I like to say now, pushing 50 Jamerrill. I'll be 46 this summer, so I'm closer to 50 than I am to 40. And my life has blown up, I say country song, just in unimaginable ways. Like, peeled open the scroll and like didn't see any of these things on my midlife bingo card. And so it has me being curious. I've learned about being curious in trauma and grief therapy for this past 1.5 years. Being curious and just assessing things. Now, I'm not going to stop working online. I have worked so hard, being scrappy, started my first blog with $20. I've worked so hard over 14 years now to build a successful online business. But still, when you go through different traumatic things and things that you never thought possible, or suddenly you realize that's what reality is. I've also learned over this past 18 months that I have to make decisions to take care of my one life. No one's going to save me. I have to save myself. And as Natalie Huffman has ingrained in my brain, just listening to her free podcast, is that I have to save the girl who has my name. So this has me questioning. Will 55-year-old Jamerrill, in less than 10 years, will 55-year-old Jamerrill still have a successful online business? I hope so. But also, things change. No matter how hard we work at something, no matter how much of ourselves we give to it, everything can and will be shaken. So this has brought me full circle back to thinking about the education that I have, which again, is it a 28-year-old computer degree? I have an IT degree from 1999, and I got my LPN license within the state of Virginia 2005-ish. Now, something I did during probably 2009 until my online business took off, where I took my hobby of blogging and exploded it into a 6-figure annual business. In between that time, where I was still working some nursing shifts and I was trying to just behave and be a focused homeschool mom, I was continuing college classes online. And what my plan was at that time, because with an LPN in Virginia, I have the opportunity 2 more semesters at my local community college, and I would finish up the classes and the time I need to be able to sit for my RN exam. I have thought through continuing on with nursing. I have not worked as a nurse probably 14 or 15 years now. And if I had to go back to work full-time as a nurse, I already talked to the board of nursing and got my paperwork and just, again, curious, considered getting my nursing license reinstated, which there's a process. And then if I reinstated my LPN, which at my local community college, LPNs had guaranteed acceptance into the RN program. And even if I didn't have guaranteed acceptance, don't worry, I would take the entrance test and I would get in there. And the prerequisites for that were anatomy and physiology 1 and 2 and biology, I believe, which I have. And so I have considered on this, how will I care for my one life and provide an income, even just to take care of me? Of course, I provide and have provided for my large family. Just what are my options? So we have the nursing license option. I could continue and get my RN. Back to those college classes that I took. Once I finished my LPN and I started working full-time weekends as a charge nurse, and by that point I had 3 children at home, ages 6 and under, I became an expert in all the different RN and BSN educational options that are out there. And I saw that even locally, we had some 4-year nursing degree programs where if you have a 4-year degree in anything, they then had an adult education program and you could continue to get your BSN and get your RN through that route. And I figured working full-time as a nurse early on in my homeschool journey, being home full-time with 3 children during the week, if I could at least transfer in my credits and finish my 4-year degree in anything, then a few years down the road, I would have an option to do a 2nd degree BSN. And back then, mid-20s Jamerrill, I was telling myself I would continue with these online classes. At some point, I was going to have to do a program to do my RN clinicals, but that I could continue on, especially with all of these online education programs with then outside clinicals set up, where I got my 2nd bachelor's as a BSN. Then I could do a master's program and be a nurse practitioner, and I was thinking I'll be a nurse practitioner by the time I'm 30. And I had all kinds of hopes and dreams to do travel nursing in an RV with my family and work the bonus shifts and provide for my family in that way. And anyway, like a lot of life in your 20s, my dreams changed. By the time I had my 4th child, we were also doing foster care. And within a few years after that, I laid down my weekend nursing job. I was starting to do things like wake up while driving after working a 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. charge nurse shift, and waking up while driving and heading for a row of mailboxes. Just, didn't think that was great. So all that to say, I then just tucked that dream away, and I thought, I just want to be a normal mom. I don't want all this pressure of working and income and degrees and juggling kids and homeschooling. Like, this is just too much. What if I just laid it all down and I was just a normal homeschool mom? So I had one good normal mom year. Normal mom relative to what I thought a normal mom was. There weren't a lot of other homeschool moms in my homeschool group that were working. And so I wanted to give it a try, to just stretch my budget as much as I could. It was gonna give me a $250 to $350 a month grocery budget, but could I make it work? And during that season, I had my 5th baby. And so for my family of 7, and my kids were ages 5 and under, that's when I started with that $250 to $350 a month grocery budget. A few years before that, I had gone from bi-weekly grocery shopping to monthly grocery shopping, and I was just trying to stretch every dime. Well, within a year of that, I also had this little fun mama part-time hobby of blogging, and I started to learn and hack my way through making blogging into a full-time income. So that entrepreneur spirit just really kicked off in me, and I was able to make something out of nothing, out of my creative ideas and sweat equity. And so I turned my blogging into a full-time business, which a few years into that led me to selling a 2nd popular blog I created, just like building a house and buying it. And I took that sweat equity, and it gave me the cushion that I need to go all in on my hobby of YouTube, that I already, with my self-taught marketing brain, was seeing a lot of little things popping over there. I thought it had huge potential. And then I busted through creating a whole other business with all new income streams, heavily through my main YouTube YouTube channel. Then through there I started a private paid membership, also a Shopify store. Plus I took a lot of the self-taught marketing and hustle that I learned through creating a profitable 6-figure blog and used that through my new YouTube business. So I knew early on things to do, such as growing an email list. So fast forward to 2023, Country Song Life enters, and that just has got me back to thinking, even though I have done this successfully online, you know, at some point, I might want to do something different. Also, I have seen the bottom fall out of things that I never thought would fall out of them, and it just makes me think, because I still have 6 minor children to support for at least the next 15 years or so. If at any point I had to do something different, if I had to get my nursing license reinstated and go back into that field, okay, I'm looking up the income requirements by federal poverty level. So I have a household of 10. 6 of those are minor children. So even if it was myself and 6 children, that's $47,000 a year. By my calculations, and I could be off, but going back to work full-time as an LPN, I'd be somewhere $50,000 to $60,000 a year. And I would need to work night shift and weekends to work around my family. And again, thinking through worst case scenarios is a trauma survivor skill. So here's what I'm going to do. I have taken all of my credits from my 2-year degree and then those online classes that I did for a few years where I was just going to try to finish my bachelor's in anything so that later I could do a 2nd degree as a BSN and go on from there. And I also want to interject, the reason I didn't go back to my community college to finish those last 2 semesters out is at that point I had already been in a nighttime program with 2 small children for 2 years. I was so thankful to be graduated and had that nursing license I was working towards. And that community college RN program, it was full-time days. And so by that point, my 2 children were 5 and 2. We were just starting our homeschool journey. And the last thing I wanted to do was to miss a whole year of full-time days of me being gone. And so that's why through the years, I was looking for all the other ways I could do it. Okay, well, if I finish out my 4-year degree and I'm able to do that from home, a couple years down the line, I could do an adult education 2nd degree program and then hopefully be able to do most of those classes in the evenings or online and then just focus on my clinicals. So it was just a mama juggling kids classes, clinicals, and all of those things that are required. So again, fast forward to almost 46-year-old Jamerrill, just thinking through worst case life scenarios. I have all those credits. I'm almost done with a 4-year degree. Given the bingo card that life has been, I'd like to finish that. I think I should. And so I am considered a senior and transferring in all my credits. I have picked to finish out a Bachelor of Science in psychology. I've already looked at some master's programs and I'm just doing the 1 class at a time hustle. And my little hopes and dreams, thoughts and plans that I'm thinking through is even if it took me 10 years, I would be 55. Or even if I had, and I'm speaking of finishing out a bachelor's program and a master's program. And so this is the fun little wild part. My life has been so changed by trauma and grief therapy. And many of you know from parts of my childhood story that I shared, I had big, hard, traumatic, scary stuff as a kid. And I just have had such a good healing experience overall with the trauma and grief therapy that I've had over the last 18 months. And I know that I will be healing. I am a hurting woman and I will be healing for the rest of my life. Untangling, trying to decipher, looking at different layers. It's a whole lot. So if I was going to study anything, I would love to finish a master's program so that I could be a therapist when I grow up too. And I don't know what that'll look like. Right now, my online business is still rocking and rolling as it always has. My plan is I'm just gonna do 1 class at a time. And even 1 class at a time, within 1 to 2 years, depending on how I swing it, I should have my 4-year degree done. Again, that's going super part-time. Out of the 120 credits that's required before I start my first class, I think, I'm not looking at it right now, I think I have 76 credits. So that puts me still needing about 14 classes. And I have been told that once I get in there and get in the swing of things that I could possibly do 2 at a time. So that's where I'm just saying a year to 2, somewhere in there. Before I'm 50, I'm gonna finish my 4-year degree. At this point, it's on track to be a Bachelor of Science in Psychology. And then I would like to start a master's program and do that part-time so that by the time I'm 55, I have number 1, another backup career in something I grow more and more passionate about every day. If I needed to go to work full-time outside the home, although I know therapists who are able to do it largely online, then it gives me more options. And something that I have learned through my own lived experience, that no one can change this truth or take it away from me, is that women are vulnerable. And women need to have as many options as possible. And so through this lived experience, this is just my emotional support coffee cup, okay? And through this lived experience, I'm saying, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna just side hustle, work on that 1 class at a time. And if I'm 55 and I have this education finished and I don't need it financially to provide for myself as I age or to provide for my family, it's going to be an education that's worth my time, and that's also going to give me a greater understanding even for my own healing and to help others. So there you go. There's my little life update college plan. I'm going to start my first class this spring. I'm going to see how it goes. Now, of course, people look at different things I share about, you know, running and reading books and getting 20,000 steps and running a full-time business. Like, how will I do that also? I'm talking about planting onion sets in my garden. And so it's just gonna be another layer of things that I do for myself. I think it's something that I can listen to classes on my phone, I can listen while I walk, and I believe that during my time where I sit and I read a little bit in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon, that I can do the reading and research I need for my class. And also, as I have shared with you in videos on this channel, such as, you know, my fragile framework of joy, I think it's going to be a nice, gentle goal, 1 class at a time. I have gone to college before. I went to nursing school with a 3-year-old and an 8-week-old. I did 1 to 2 online classes at a time over several years with up to 4 to 5 kids at my house. And how I did it then is I was doing it in the morning before the kids got up. Now, whenever I decided to put more of my time into my hobby of blogging, my online classes to finish that 4-year degree is the thing that I laid down to get that time in the morning. And so, we'll see how it goes. This is the new layer I'm adding to my life. I appreciate you. Thank you for watching my videos and for your support. And I have a lot more I can say about this topic. I hope it helps encourage you. If there's something that you could be doing slow and steady that over several years even would help you accomplish a goal that's been on your to-do list, even if it's like me, it's been on your to-do list for decades, and it's like, oh, I could do that part-time. I could finish that for myself. And there's many benefits for myself and my family if I slowly finish this out. So thank you so much, friends. I'll see you hopefully sooner rather than later over here on my second channel. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and I appreciate you. Bye-bye.